December the 27th, 10 a.m. District Court, Courtroom number 3. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Miles Edgeworth. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Apparently the prosecution is also ready. Who is the judge here, anyway? Mr. von Karma, your opening statement. Very well. No opening statement, so... Not so fast, Judge. I was taking a meaningful pause before speaking. Right, of course. A prediction. Today's trial will end 3 minutes from now. Wanna bet? Order, order. Mr. von Karma, what is the meaning of your statement just now? Must you question everything? It will be over in 3 minutes. We have no time to waste. I'll call my witness now. Right. I call my witness, my decisive witness, to the stand. It's that mysterious boat shop owner. Witness, state your profession. I'm the proprietor of the restaurant, the Red Noodle at Good Lake. And I also rent boats. The night of the incident, you were in the boat rental shop, correct? Yep, I was. Please testify. Wait a second. We still haven't heard who this old guy is. Wait a minute. The witness hasn't stated his name yet. Because I did not ask him, Mr. Wright. Bah. I have predicted this trial will end in 3 minutes. Stop asking trivial questions and cooperate. Right. The witness will state his name. Well, I'm not really sure. What do you mean? My memory... Your Honor, the witness does not remember anything beyond the last several years. Ergo, he cannot recall his own name. Doubtful. He can't recall, you say? Yes, but the incident in question took place 3 days ago. He can testify. Very well. And he apparently hasn't needed his name once in the last 7 years? I highly doubt that. Let's hear his testimony then, shall we? Witness? The night of the murder. It was the night of the 24th, just after midnight. I was in the restaurant where I rent boats as usual. Then I heard a bang. Yep. And I looked out the window. I saw a boat just floating on the lake. Then I heard another bang. Just about then the boat comes back to shore and a man walks by my window. Very well. I'd like to begin the cross-examination. There is nothing to question in my witness's testimony. Ergo, no need for cross-examination. Besides, there are only 10 seconds left before our 3 minutes are up. Judge, your verdict. Now, there is absolutely nothing anything he said proves. Yes. Mr. Wright? What are you saying? Of course I'll cross-examine the witness. Very well. You may begin. Excuse me, Mr. von Karma. 3 minutes just passed. I see. Well then, let's just take our time. You may cross-examine the witness. He lost his bet. Surprising. Alright. Let's just press him on everything as per usual. Just after midnight, you say? Yeah, just around then. Are you sure? Pretty sure. When I talked to you yesterday, you were rather vague about the time. I'm surprised you seem so sure about it today. I mean, Mr. von Karma probably beat it into him. In a verbal way. I asked him and he remembered. Isn't that right? Don't glare at me like that. I remember it clearly, I did. You see? Continue. Alright. Is there anyone who can verify that? Oh, I guess Polly could. That's not good enough for a court of law. Mr. Wright, exactly what's not good enough? Your Honor, this Polly is a parrot. A parrot? Don't be so hard on the girl, Keefy boy. Keef? The prosecution concedes that we cannot prove the witness was in the shop. Witness, please continue. And where did the bangs seem to come from? From the lake, I figure. Are you certain? Yeah. Good. Continue. Alright. He saw a boat just floating on the lake. Was there someone in the boat? It was pretty far out there. I couldn't see clearly. I figured there was 2 men out there. But you couldn't see them clearly. Yeah, at that time, that is. At the time? Alright, you heard another bang. So you heard 2 gunshots total. Huh? That's what Lotta said in her testimony yesterday. Alright. By your window? Yeah, my window. Right outside the window of my little shack. And could you see the man's face? The fuck is he? I think it was right there in front of me. I saw it. This is a rather important detail. Please add to your testimony. I have a bad feeling about this. That man was the defendant. You're saying I can't believe he's dead. Are you sure? Oh. Dad? That's certain, Chief. He said I can't believe he's dead as he was walking by too. Witness, are you sure that the person you saw was Miles Edgeworth? It was him, that Edgeworth boy. This sounds like decisive evidence indeed. I see no room for doubt. Von Karma. He lured me into cross-examining so he could set me up for a fall. Nick, I don't like the way things are going here. Everyone in the courtroom is glaring at us. We better act quick or this trial is going to be over. Your Honor, we proved in yesterday's trial that it could not have been Edgeworth who fired that gun. Mr. Wright, are you referring to the fingerprints from Edgeworth's right hand found on the gun? And a photograph showing a man firing with his left hand? Exactly. That is easily explainable. He could have wiped his prints after he fired. You are ignoring the truth of the matter here. Everything in this witness's testimony is true. The judge is lost in thought. What should I do? Object! Your Honor, this witness claims that Edgeworth said I can't believe he's dead. But his word is all we have. If you were telling a lie... Mr. Wright, in a court of law, the evidence tells all, and we have a sufficient lack of that. Apparently, you have yet to realize even this basic fact. If you say his testimony is a lie, show us proof.
Nick, do we have evidence?
It's no good. There's nothing I can do.
Are you sure?
To be honest, I don't know what to do anymore.
Please. Can you hear me, sis? Please. We need your help. Nick needs you.
3 minutes was perhaps too high an expectation. However, 15 minutes isn't bad. This must be a new record. Enough. The witness may leave the stand. This court sees no reason to further prolong the trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. What? No. This court finds the defendant Mr. Miles Edgeworth. Okay. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. This court is adjourned.
Wait.
Who was that just now?
Me.
Huh?
What?
Oh, it's Larry.
Wow, how did you get in here?
What are you doing here?
Listen, you gotta listen to me. I was there in the park the night of the murder. I wasn't sure about it until just yesterday. But today I remembered it.
Remembered what?
The gunshot. I heard it too.
Order. What is the meaning of this? The verdict has been decided. I call for adjournment. One moment, Mr. Von Karma. So, you say you heard a gunshot?
Yeah, I did. A gunshot that night. I was sitting here in the audience listening to the testimony. Then I realized something he said was different from what I remember. Anyhow, I can't just sit here and let you call AG a murderer. It's just not right. I'll testify. Let me testify.
Okay. Go ahead, Larry. Order. Well, this is the first time something has happened like this in my court. I'm not quite sure how to proceed. Judge, you've already given your decision. The trial is over.
Nick, this is it. Larry's given us one final chance at this.
She's right. If only it wasn't Larry. He could make things even worse. I mean, I doubt there's any way to make guilty worse.
Mr. Edgeworth was just declared guilty, Nick. It doesn't get any worse.
Yep. You're right. Okay. Your Honor, if there is another witness, then it is our duty to hear him speak. Right here, right now. A waste of time. The verdict cannot be overturned. Allow me to speak my opinion. In all court proceedings, it is our duty to prevent an inaccurate verdict. In order to make sure no mistake has been made, every witness should be heard. What is this? I withdraw my previous verdict of guilty. Mr. Von Karma, I order you to call this new witness to testify. Now. What? The court will adjourn for a 5-minute recess. After that, we will hear this new witness. Court is adjourned. December 27th, 10:28 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Whew. That was too close. Sorry to keep you on the edge of your seat like that, Edgeworth. Huh. I've seen worse. Yeah, right, Edgeworth. You're sweating bullets. I just wonder what Larry plans to say in there.
Larry was at the lake that night?
Yes. He said he went looking for the steel samurai balloon that flew into the lake.
Oh, right. And you found the balloon in the air tank that night?
Yeah. Hey, Edgeworth. Huh? You say something, right? Yeah, a lot of things. You seem out of it. What's wrong? It's nothing. Hmm?
Mr. Edgeworth, there's something I've been meaning to ask you.
What's that?
Why are your fingerprints on a murder weapon?
Oh. When he fell into the lake, I went into a daze. I couldn't understand what had happened. I couldn't think straight. Then I saw the pistol lying on the floor of the boat in front of me. I picked it up without thinking. I didn't have a reason, really.
I see.
Right. Yeah. This might be our chance. Our chance? Von Karma has only ever run perfect trials. Perfect trials? Perfectly prepared witnesses, perfectly complete evidence. That's the secret to his success. This is the first time he's ever had to deal with something unexpected. He has to let someone he hasn't even talked to testify before the court. And that someone is Larry. What are you getting at? It's likely his testimony will be full of holes, right?
That's right, Nick. No 10-minute trial this time. We'll milk this one for all it's worth.
Hey, it was 15 minutes. 15! Everything's on Larry now. December the 27th, 10:35 a.m. District Court, Courtroom Number 3. Court is now back in session. Witness, please testify to the court about everything that you saw on the night of December the 24th.
Right, leave it to me.
Please, Larry, don't mess this one up. I hate to admit it, but you're our last chance. Von Karma didn't even have time to prep his witness. I just hope Edgeworth is right about this being a big break. The night of the murder.
That night I was out in a boat on the lake. I was looking for something and I found it. So I quietly slipped the boat back in at the rental shop dock. Then just as I was thinking about going home, I heard this bang. I looked out over the lake but I didn't see a boat. So after I heard that single gunshot, I went home.
You only heard a single gunshot, huh? That was an unusually vague testimony, even for this court. In any case, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor.
What's wrong, Nick?
It's Larry. I have no idea what he's going to say if I press him. I'm a little scared.
Well, we've come this far. There's no way to go but forward, Nick.
Press him on everything, as per usual. What are you doing there? There's something wrong, Mr. Wright. There are so many things wrong, I don't know where to begin. Well, okay, first of all, what time was it?
Oh, it was after 11 when I went out in the boat. By that time, everyone had gone home for the night. So I waited until the coast was clear, so to speak.
And why were you out and about at such a late hour? Alright. Looking for something?
Yeah.
Mr. Butts, what was it you were looking for?
What the witness is searching for is irrelevant. Most likely he was hunting for this Gordy. That's surprisingly close to the truth, in a sense.
This is all irrelevant. Let's get it over with.
Alright. Around what time was that? Oh, well, let's see. I figured I was out searching for about an hour. I guess it was around 12. Yep. You're not sure? Hey, don't give me that face. I'm not some sort of human sundial, okay?
People use watches these days, Larry.
Actually, most people use phones these days. Then, just as I was thinking about it, I heard this bang.
Where did the sound come from?
Yeah, well, I wasn't too sure about that. I looked around, you know.
Did you look at the lake?
Yeah, I looked.
I looked out over the lake, but I didn't see a boat. Wasn't there a boat on the lake? Order. Well, Mr. Potts.
Whoa. Everybody just calm down, okay? I mean, it was real foggy that night. I'm not sure whether there was a boat out there or not. Okay, no problem. That's just the most important part of this case. Alright. So you only heard one bang, correct?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, Nick. It was a pretty wishy-washy testimony, wasn't it? I guess I should just start working on the contradictions. Sorry. I wish I could be more helpful. I wish I could call my sister.
Don't worry, Maya.
Alright. Let me just have a look at the time frame exactly. Because that was 12:15 AM. Yeah, that was after he had gone, basically. So, he shouldn't have witnessed the murder. Anyway. Because it happened 15 minutes afterwards. This shows an empty lake. And it's 10 minutes before. So sometime between this and this photo he was out and about. Wait, if the second lake photo shows an empty lake, then the first bang came at 11:50. And at that point of time, Larry would have already brought back the boat. Because he said he looked out onto the lake, meaning he wasn't on the lake anymore. Alright, so Larry didn't witness the murder anyway, but I'm pretty sure this is the contradiction anyway, like the fired 3 times, but I'm just gonna look over the rest of them as well. This should be irrelevant. What is that? I heard 2 sounds like gunshots just after midnight. Well, that doesn't contradict what Larry says. This is annoying. I mean, the thing is, if Lotta said she heard 2 gunshots just after midnight, and 1 gunshot was at 11:50, then the 3 gunshots checks out. Looked out over the lake, but I didn't see a boat. Let me just go. Let me just. You know what? I'd like to save once. Just why not? There's a lot of dialogue so far. I'd like to present the gun. Fired 3 times. Okay. Alright then. Well, what else? Oh. Well. Yes, then just as I was thinking about going home. That night I was out on a boat on the lake. Wait, where did it say? I heard that single gunshot. Because with this, I can prove that he wasn't on the lake
Like, he didn't come back at 11:50, like at midnight. He came back before then. I can see a boat. Let me just ask again, where was the time? Alright, this one. Wait, he didn't mention the time he brought it back, did he? That's where he mentioned the time, right? Yeah. Around 12. Let me try this. Empty lake at 11:50. Nope. Alright. What else could it be? He's looking for something and he found it. That's true. Alright, let's go through it one by one and see if there's anything that's wrong about it. That night he was out in a boat on the lake. That's true. We know that. He was looking for something and he found it. That's also true. We know that. So I quietly slipped the boat back in at the rental shop dock. We don't know that, but of course, I mean, there's no reason why it would be a contradiction. And the only thing that's contradicting, that's a contradiction about this is the time itself. And we already tried that and it didn't work. Then just as I was thinking about going home, I heard this bang. Alright. I looked out over the lake, but I didn't see a boat. So after I heard that single gunshot, I went home. I tried the gun. I could try Lotta's testimony, but in fact, like, I know the game might think that's the right thing, but if it is, it isn't. Two shots. Just it's the only thing I can think of. Okay. It's not correct evidence. Because we know that the lake was empty at 11:50. Therefore, we know Larry must have brought back the boat earlier than midnight. Therefore, we know that at the time of the gunshot, which was at 11:50, the first gunshot, which was already after Larry brought his boat back, so this was the only gunshot he could have heard, we know that checks out. So this is not a viable objection. But let's see where this goes. Wait a sec, Larry. What? You only heard one bang? You're sure? That's what I said. But Miss Lotta Hart testified yesterday that she heard two bangs. And the old man just now said the same thing. They both heard two gunshots that night. Huh? Were you even listening? Were you paying attention at all to what they said? Of course you wasn't, he's Larry. Yo, Nick, please. Huh? You know, something's been bothering me. Oh god. I'm a witness, see? I'm like a customer here. So you got to treat me nice and stuff, okay? Mr. Butts. What? You only heard one gunshot? Are you sure? Oh... Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure. Not sure? How could you not be sure? Yeah, well... I might have missed the other gunshot. I was listening to something else. Something else? My radio, dude, with my headphones. What? Order, and stop that booing. Now continue booing, by all means, go ahead. Mr. Butts, you were listening to the radio with your headphones? Yeah, so what? That a crime? I listen to my radio, everybody listens to the radio, what's the big deal? Mr. von Karma, your opinion.
Waste of time. I do not accept this witness, nor his shoddy testimony.
Well, Mr. Wright, should you continue the testimony? Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
Your Honor, please allow the witness to continue his testimony.
Bah. Nothing is more pitiful than a lawyer who doesn't know when he's lost. Very well, Mr. Butts. Please give your testimony and be sure to include details like your radio.
Right, leave it to me.
I wouldn't if there were any other way out of this, believe me. Okay, what Larry heard.
It's lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. That's why I was listening to an all request show on the radio, see? I was listening to it real booming loud, like... But I'm sure I heard that gunshot. I remember exactly what the DJ was saying when I heard it too.
You are listening to your radio at a high volume?
Yeah, what's the big problem? Can't a man listen to his radio in peace? Isn't this a free country?
I truly believe Larry has no idea what the problem here is.
Judge, can you believe a word this witness says? What he heard was probably nothing more than a drum beat from the radio.
True enough, it is difficult to believe this testimony.
Wait, Your Honor. I mean, to be honest, his testimony isn't exactly more difficult to believe than the one of the old man. The witness said he remembers exactly what the DJ said when he heard the gunshot.
Excuse me, DJ?
An announcer, the guy who says things on the radio, you know? Anyway, what this means is when you heard the sound no music was playing, the DJ only talks between songs, so you could have heard the gunshot from the lake. I'd like to cross-examine the witness, Your Honor.
Very well, Mr. Wright.
I can't believe I'm continuing this charade. Well, it's our only option. Let's go. Alright. So you turned on the radio. Right. I just wanted to hear someone's voice, you know. You don't know what it's like out there alone on Christmas Eve. Alone. I shouldn't have said anything. Alright. Do you by any chance remember the name of the program you were listening to? This has nothing to do with the case, Your Honor.
Objection sustained. The witness was listening to the radio. That is all we need to know. Tell us, Mr. Butts, how loud was your radio set to that light?
Alright. Real booming loud? Yeah, you know.
And you had headphones on?
Yep.
I wouldn't think you could hear anything going on outside at all.
Surprised you can hear anything at all after that. Can you prove that? No, of course you can't. No, I can't prove it. But I remember that moment real clear. I mean, while I was talking about it, it came back real clear to me, you know? Alright, what was it he was saying? What did she say? Mr. Wright, please cease these pointless questions. What possible good could knowing what a radio DJ said to us, do us?
Indeed, Mr. von Karma has a point. I'll allow the question only if you see some reason why we should care.
We should care because the DJ might have set the time, in which case Larry should have told us so to begin with, but I wouldn't put it past him to just think that wouldn't matter. We should care, Your Honor. Of course we should. Why? The time, Phoenix, the time. Well, how do you know if you don't ask,
Fine, very well. Mr. Butts, please testify to the court. What was the radio announcer saying when you heard the gunshot?
There you go. There's the time. Just when she said, hey, it's almost Christmas, I heard the gunshot. Are you sure? Of course I am. She had this real sexy voice.
Maybe Funkama was right. I'm not sure how that helped us at all. This is the most ludicrous testimony I've ever heard. But there is one gleaming ray of hope in there. I've got to press it until we get to the bottom of what happened. I mean, I've pressed everything. Alright. Just when she said, hey, it's almost Christmas, I heard the gunshot. Now again. So that would mean... it would have happened just before... Well, it's almost Christmas is a bit... Again, as Phoenix... Or was it Phoenix who said? I don't remember. It's a bit wishy-washy, isn't it? That could have been 40 seconds to Christmas. That could have been 20 minutes. That could have been, I don't know, 6 days ago. Well, it's December the 27th, so it could... theoretically could have been. Alright, what have I got? Alright, let me just, save again. Just because, I did already lose 2 bars of credibility. And I don't want to, if I just went back to the save point, I would have those still. And I think I should be punished for making wrong, for presenting wrong evidence, even though it's not wrong, but it's almost Christmas. But the lake was empty at 11:50. I mean, but it doesn't really contradict it. Because Lotta's deposition says she heard 2 gunshots just after midnight. So that means there was a 3rd shot, which checks out with the pistol. The actual evidence that I think could prove something if you say the right things is this photo. I'm not sure the game wants that though, but I'm also not quite sure what the game wants in the first place. Alright, let's go through it. I'm 99% sure this is the option where we should. Although he did say that was useless, but let me go through all of them again. One by one. Alright. Lonely being alone on Christmas Eve. No one cares, Larry. He's listening to an all request show on the radio. Doesn't really matter. He was listening to it very loud. Does matter, but isn't a contradiction anyway. He's sure he heard the gunshot. That's fair enough. He remembers exactly what the DJ was saying when he heard it too. Alright. So that's the only thing we can actually contradict. Looking through the pieces of evidence. Not the camera. Not the autopsy report. Not the lake photo. Possibly the second lake photo. Not this photo. Not the article. Not the overhead map. Not the bullets. Not the pistol. Possibly the deposition, but we just used that. So I think it's unlikely. Not the metal detector, not the parrot, not the DL6 case file, and not the DL6 incident photo. So I think the most reasonable one is the empty lake photo. Nope, the music didn't stop. It was wrong. Alright. Just when she said, hey, it's almost Christmas, I heard the gunshots. Well, the other thing that this contradicts is that... Then again, we know that the pistol was fired 3 times. It says so right there in the evidence. So this shouldn't be a contradiction. But still, I'm gonna go with this. Yep, that's right. Alright, fair enough. Larry, are you absolutely sure what you're saying is correct? Huh? What's with the face? You look scary, dude. Hey, if you're trying to scare me, you better know I don't scare that easy. Is something the matter, Mr. Wright? Your Honor, Did you hear what the witness just said? The DJ said, "Hey, it's almost Christmas," when you heard the gunshots. Indeed, and? Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas. Do you realize what this means? When you heard the gunshot, it was still Christmas Eve. That would seem to be the case, yes. I mean... Alright. You could have gotten to that way earlier, but sure. But that contradicts the two testimonies we have heard so far, Your Honor. Both Miss Hart and the old man said it was after midnight when they heard the shots. But there was... Okay. In other words, when they heard the gunshot, it was already Christmas. This is a clear contradiction, Your Honor. It's not. It just means it wasn't the same shots they heard. Order. What does this mean? The two prior witnesses heard gunshots after midnight. However, this witness says he heard a gunshot before midnight. Judge, the answer is simple. The current witness is plainly mistaken. Just look at him. Suspicious.
What?
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think about Mr. Buzz's claim he heard a gunshot before midnight? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Larry's not mistaken, Your Honor. He heard that gunshot before midnight. Intriguing. I'm assuming you have evidence for this wild claim. Show me evidence there was a gunshot before midnight. Well, the most logical evidence is the second lake photo. The gun confirms that that there were 3 shots, right? But the only confirmation that it actually happened before midnight was the photo. Look at this photograph. This was taken by our witness yesterday, Miss Lotta Hart, with her automatic camera. The timestamp on the photo reads December 24th, 11:50 p.m. Oh. But there's nothing on the lake in this picture. Your Honor, the real issue here is not why nothing is shown in this photograph. It is why this photograph exists at all. What do you mean? Your Honor, this photograph was taken by an automatic camera. That camera was set to go off in response to loud noises. Correct. There was a loud noise on the lake at 11:50 p.m. That is why this photograph was taken. In other words, when Larry heard that gunshot, it was most definitely still Christmas Eve. Indeed, it would seem that is the case. Then where does this leave us? Miss Hart testified that she heard the gunshots after midnight. Are you claiming she was mistaken? Not at all, Your Honor. It is a fact that the camera also triggered at 15 minutes after midnight. Your Honor, that night there were 2 sets of gunshots with a 25-minute pause between them. Why would this be? Don't be fooled, Judge. That camera was set to respond to loud noises. Yes? He's gonna say it was because of the music in the headphones, right? There is no proof that the loud noise at 11:50 was a gunshot. Why the witness could have sneezed triggering the camera.
Hey, my nose was clear that night, man. Clear.
Well, Mr. Wright, there's no turning back now. Can you prove that the loud noise at 11:50 p.m. was indeed a gunshot? Please show the court evidence if you have any. Well, the gun itself fired 3 times. Don't you dare to tell me this is wrong, game. Don't you dare. Alright, this is my evidence. The murder weapon. Something about this pistol was bothering me, Your Honor. Both of the witnesses who testified yesterday heard 2 gunshots. However, the murder weapon was fired 3 times. When, then, was the last shot fired? This just now bothered you, Phoenix? Are you being serious? Only now have I realized the truth. He really is a bad lawyer. That 3rd shot was the shot Larry heard just before midnight. Order. That would make sense of the evidence we've seen so far. However, This leaves me wondering exactly what did happen that night on the lake. Exactly. If this is true, there were two sets of gunshots separated by 25 minutes. One at 11:50, another at 50 minutes after midnight. Why, I ask you, why? Uh-oh, I'd better think of something quick. Wait a second. Gunshots separated by 25 minutes. What's wrong, Nick? I have it. Huh? Remember the case with the Steel Samurai? Yeah, of course I remember. The murderer in this case had the same idea as the murderer in that case. What do you mean? Maya. Yes? If we don't figure this out now, we'll never overturn Edgeworth's guilty verdict. I've got a hunch and I'm going to run with it. Right. I mean, is this safe? Safe? We've already gotten a guilty verdict. We have nothing to lose. You just watch and let me know if I say anything that sounds fishy, okay? Right, Nick. Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Wright. The testimony just now has cleared up this entire case. Has it? What do you mean, Mr. Wright? So you finally realized the truth. There can be no other murderer here than Miles Edgeworth himself. Wrong, Von Karma. A man was shot that night, but it wasn't Edgeworth who did the shooting. Listen, rookie. Take a deep breath and consider the facts. At the time of the murder, one boat was on that lake. This was shown by the witness's photograph. The defendant, Edgeworth, and the victim, Robert Hammond, were on that boat. There was a gunshot fired on that boat and Robert Hammond fell into the lake. The distance of the shooting was 1 meter. It couldn't have been suicide. Well, the guilty party has to be the other man on that boat. I admit it is hard to imagine any other possibility. Yes, but this assumes that the victim was shot at 15 minutes after midnight. What do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Oh, I get it. Phoenix implies that the victim was actually dead 25 minutes before that. The victim was shot at 11:50 p.m. Then brought out onto the lake and just, dumped into it after a gunshot was fired. Somewhat like that, I think, is what Phoenix is implying. We have photographic evidence of the time of the shooting. The timestamp on the photo says 0:15. But Larry heard a gunshot 25 minutes before that. Robert Hammond was killed then, 25 minutes before the shot on the lake. That's the only way that Edgeworth could be innocent. Mr. Wright, are you quite mad? Explain who the two men on the boat are. Edgeworth... Well, it's not the murderer and Hammond. We know Edgeworth was in the boat. And Edgeworth isn't the murderer, so this is no. This is a no. Well, Edgeworth and the murderer... Unlikely. It's Edgeworth and Hammond nonetheless, I'd say. I mean, either of those is possible, I guess. It would depend on how he did it exactly. The thing is, it looks like both of these are alive. I don't think I can convince the jury and and Von Karma that person on the left is just dead. At least if I go by the picture, he's clearly not dead. So it has to be Edgeworth and the murderer, right? Right? I don't know. Probably. Of course, it was Edgeworth and the murderer. After the murderer killed Robert Hammond at 11:50, he assumed the guise of Mr. Hammond and met Edgeworth. Okay. I can not really see... Okay, let's just continue. Let's see what he has to say about it. I mean, it was dark. Maybe you could convince Edgeworth that you're him, but... What? Are you serious? Yes, Edgeworth won't tell us why he went to the lake that night. However, I have a hunch. That night, Robert Hammond called Edgeworth to the lake. Now, Edgeworth didn't know Robert Hammond's face that well. Okay, fair enough. That's why he didn't suspect anything when the murderer took Robert Hammond's place. I'm not sure what to make of all this. Ludicrous. Mr. Wright, tell us the name of the murderer then. The murderer's name? Right, it's... I mean, it's not Miles Edgeworth, we know that. I mean, theoretically, there is no evidence, as far as I'm aware, that the murderer isn't Luther Hart. But I think it's reasonable to say I don't know. Actually, I don't know the murderer's name. You don't know? Bah, again, you waste my time. I don't know because he never told us. The murderer is the caretaker of the boat shop, that old man. Okay, yeah, reasonable, I can see that. At 11:50 he was the one who killed Robert Hammond. The caretaker of the boat shop? Where did he do this? There weren't any boats on the lake then. Why would he have to go all the way out on the lake just to shoot someone? May I suggest that the real scene of this crime was not on a boat? What? Well then, where did the murder take place? I'm gonna presume in there? Here, of course, the boat shop where he lives. That way he could meet with the victim without anyone seeing. Do you have proof that the boat shop was the scene of the crime? Recall Larry's testimony if you will. That night he was out on the lake in a boat searching for something. He finds it and returns the boat. Then just as he's starting to head for home, he hears a gunshot. He heard a gunshot, Your Honor, even though he was wearing headphones at the time. In other words, the gunshot was very, very close by. And where would that be if he had just returned the boat? You know, a gun is very loud. And there are headphones that are quite shit. Just saying, but yeah, fair enough. Go on. The boat shop. If it aids our case. Mr. Wright, what happened that night on Gourd Lake? Please tell the court from the beginning. Yes, Your Honor. Nick, are you sure about this? Well, not really. But I think if I start at the very beginning, and I take it slow, I might just be able to figure this out. That night, the caretaker of the boat shop called Robert Hammond to his shop. And shot him. This was around 11:50. Wait, let me just get this straight. Robert Hammond was the lawyer, right, who, the defense lawyer of the murderer of Miles Edgeworth's father, which is also the caretaker of the boat shop right now, though he has kind of lost his memory, although he wouldn't murder him if he had, so he did kind of remember something he did in the past, and well, we'll see about that, I guess, in the at the end of this case. But I think I've got who's who now. That was when the gunshot that Larry heard was fired. After that, the caretaker put on Robert Hammond's coat. He became Robert Hammond. Then he got in the boat with Edgeworth and went out into the middle of the lake.
Then, who fired the pistol on the boat, Mr. Wright?
Who fired the pistol on the boat? The boat shop caretaker. Of course, it was the murderer who shot the pistol. He shot twice. Both missed Edgeworth on purpose.
Wait a minute.
Yes?
Why would you shoot twice if you didn't mean to hit anyone?
Details. Know this, Mr. Wright. The moment you run out of explanations is the moment you lose. Tell us why the murderer had to fire twice. Probably to create a witness. I mean, he missed on purpose, so the first explanation doesn't make sense. I believe he shot twice to create a witness, Your Honor.
Create a witness?
The murderer lifts his pistol and fires one shot. That ensures that anyone who heard the shot would look at the lake. Indeed, Miss Hart did exactly that after hearing the first gunshot. Next, the murderer waits a bit and he fires again. Then, he jumps off the boat. The murderer jumps from the boat himself, leaving the pistol in the boat behind him.
I see. To someone looking from the edge of the lake, it would appear that one of the men on the boat had shot the other.
The murderer didn't know about the automatic camera, of course. That's why he shot twice, to draw attention to the boat. Once you realize that, everything else falls into place. The boat shop caretaker swam back to his shop. Then he put Mr. Hammond's wet coat back on the body and threw the body into the lake. This is what happened, Your Honor. These are the events that transpired that night on Gourd Lake. Alright, I have to give you some credit, Phoenix. I said you were a bad lawyer before. I'll take that back. That was decent enough.
Is there any evidence for that? Bailiff, bring out the witness from before. Boat shop caretaker, quickly.
Alright.
Very well. While we are waiting for the caretaker, I would like to ask the defendant Miles Edgeworth a few questions. Mr. Edgeworth, please take the stand. Mr. Edgeworth, you heard what the defense has said?
Yes.
Well, why did you go to the lake that night?
What Wright has said was mostly correct. Astonishingly so, actually. Yes. Several days ago I received a letter. The letter was signed Robert Hammond. He asked me to come to the boat shop by the lake at midnight on Christmas Eve. He said he had something very important to discuss with me.
Something important?
I'm sorry, I can't say what it was.
Your Honor, sir. Bailiff, we're conducting a trial here. I ask that you remain quiet.
The witness has disappeared. He isn't at the boat shop either.
What?
What should I do?
Find him, quickly. We cannot allow him to get away.
He went and ran, the little rat.
Mr. von Karma, your witness has disappeared.
A search warrant has already been issued.
It goes without saying that I cannot declare a verdict under these circumstances. I will extend the trial until tomorrow, the final day allowed. I request that the police department utilize all its forces to find that witness. Am I understood? One more thing. Just who is that boat shop caretaker? I think his identity has become very important to this trial. I want him and I want to know who he is. Very well. Court is adjourned.
Alright. December the 27th, 1:22 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2.
Yay, Nick, you did it!
Yeah. Well, at least we got out from under that guilty verdict.
And what about Larry? That was something else. Even Von Karma didn't know what to do with his testimony. Larry really helped us out.
Sure, once I sifted through his unique testimony. Still, he did save us. I just wish our cases weren't so down to the wire all the time.
I know what you mean. Sometimes I feel like it's on us on trial instead of our clients.
Yeah, Edgeworth.
Mr. Edgeworth?
Did you say something?
Don't look so pained. I mean, it looks like you're probably going to get off the hook. You could try to smile just a little. Relax.
I'm sorry. But I fear it's not over for me yet. What do you mean? Right. There's something that's been troubling me for a long time now. I don't know whether or not to tell you.
Edgeworth?
No, there's just so little time left. I want to tell you to get it off my chest, but I can't make up my mind.
What is this about, Edgeworth?
It's a nightmare I've had. A memory of a crime that I committed.
A crime you committed?
A memory of a murder.
To be continued.